I would like to share with you some presentation that we are going to upload shortly on the website also, so that you can have a little bit about Dubai regulation. So, as you are all aware, within the course of the competition, one of the main objective of the project, one of your main objective of your project was to come with a sustainable design. Now, this presentation, which is called Sustainable Dubai, gives you, and it will be uploaded on the website, a little bit of an image of how it's structured Dubai today. Okay, so some of the things. I'm not going to go too deep into this presentation. You can download it and you can analyze it by yourself. But just to know, first of all, that Dubai has ratified the Paris Climate, which was to have which set an energy target of about 24% by 2021, and that they even went one step further, saying, okay, we should be about 27% clean energy in order to decrease the CO2, the carbon emissions. Yeah, you can see here they are taking into account not only solar energy but also nuclear, and till 2030 the idea would be to have, if you want, something like 1/4 of energy produced nuclear, 1/4 coal, 1/4 gas, and 1/4 solar. This is one idea of how is Dubai looking at sustainability from a resources point of view today. Then some information about the energy efficiency. So Dubai municipality, it is in the loop. It is within the commission that it's dealing with all kinds of projects around energy and water, and their aim is to reduce the water consumption by as much as 40% by 2030. And as you can see, there are about 9 programs today working in Dubai. You have here an idea about the programs. I will just zoom this one just to give you an idea. For example, the first program, 114. The fourth program is that they decrease they have energy savings of 40%, water, CO2, indoor air, door quality compliance, waste reduction, and so on. Then there is a program for retrofitting. These programs are giving you an idea about how today locally the issue of sustainability it's seen by the local authorities. Then and you will also see this green building regulation and specification. The green building approach has been regulated in Dubai since 2011. So there is a document on that one. I will share it with you briefly, and then you will find it on the website of the student contest, so that you can download it. And last but not least, there is a rating system which has been launched back in 2016. You have this platinum, gold, silver, and bronze, and the point is that if you do not receive this minimum bronze rating, you will not receive the permission from Dubai municipality. So I encourage you to take a look at it. It is focusing on the life cycle of the building. It's about increasing energy efficiency, increasing the efficiency of using energy, increasing the efficiency of using water. There are a lot of key statements there that I encourage you to take a look at it. So to give you an idea of how this is looking, I'll just close this one and open this one very briefly again. So you have here a document which is basically showing you the definitions, what is it linked with the planning, what is the link with the different mentions of comfort that you can find it here. Then you have few other sections, efficiency of the resources when we speak about energy, efficiency of sources when we speak about water, and last but not least, material and waste. So within your project, make sure that you look at it and you have some comments around it. For those of you that already heard it during the previous presentation, I will repeat myself. Those of you that don't know it yet, don't assume, neither for the local stage, neither for the international stage, that the judges will know everything there is to know about your project if you do not explain it, if you do not show it, if you don't put it somewhere. Even more for those of you that are going to participate to the international stage, the interaction between the participants and the judges happens in two ways. One way is through the posters. Yeah? Each team has a poster, and on that poster there is a full, or the team can decide to put whatever they want there. Yeah? There are some minimum requirements, but beside that you can decide to do it in any way you want. So I suggest to use this space with good purpose, to make sure that you say explicitly, either by drawings, either by text, or either by text and drawings, that this method of construction has been chosen because it will reduce the waste on the construction site compared to a more classical method, or with this classical method, by this amount or that amount. So the one way of interacting with the judges is this one. The other way of interacting with the judges for the international stage, it is through your presentations. So if you don't put it in the poster, then make sure you have it in the presentation. Make sure that you underline it. Besides these two options in the international stage, not basically, but there is no other way of interacting with the judges. You have a presentation, you present your project, and the judges hear and see your presentation, and then they have a poster. You can even think about maximizing the quantity of information by putting the information which are, let's say, strategic to your project on both poster and presentation. Okay. And then you can treat some of the points in the presentation and some of the points in the poster, and the connection between them, these two, you can make it for the or during the presentation. I have seen many times students presenting their project, but actually leaving aside issues that they treated during the project, but they didn't show it, they didn't mention it. So the assumption is that if the is not said during the presentation, neither written or presented on the poster, it's not existing. Do I make myself clear? You can still hear me, guys? Okay. Okay, great. So take this into account. Yeah? Take into account not only the project itself, but also the way that you are going to present it. And if you have a marvelous project, like almost all the projects I have seen along many years, then make sure that you are able to present the key messages that you want to pass. And your key messages can be slightly different from target to target. If you present the project on the national stage, then the messages can be slightly different than in the case of an international jury, or in the case of a jury where you have some representatives from like the developer of the place. Yeah? If you have if you address to an architect, then you will do more about the concept, you will do more about the functionality and so on. Then if you speak to the, for example, in the international stage, if you are going to speak to the in front of the jury, and in this jury you have Saint-Gobain people, you have people from the Dubai municipality, you have people from the developer of the project and so on. Make sure that you also say something about or why your project does or makes the life of the developer easier, if it is the case. Okay, we know that by using this precast forming or whatever, the period which is required to finalize the project, it is reduced by 15%. You know it already in your heart because you did it by thinking about it, but if you don't mention it, it is, first of all, the rule that the judges will assume that it's not there, and secondly, it even can be that maybe somebody is not aware about a specific technique of construction that you want to use, or about a specific product, or I don't know. This is more towards the way of selling, if you wish, the project to the, or presenting it to key stakeholders, can be your teachers or the juries of the national stage, or it can be the judges from the international stage. Do you have any questions? No, Alejandra, you cannot modify the content. If you mean by content the project as such, once you have submitted the project, that's it. You can modify the content of your PowerPoint presentation, because that has not been asked. But normally, the moment that you submit your project, that project will be printed directly in Dubai. So the roll-up will be already in Dubai. So if you come with a new concept and what you put on the PowerPoint and what is it on the poster do not match, then that can trigger some from the judges. Any other questions? Well, the PowerPoint, you can modify it because actually each national stage is slightly different. And I assume, Alejandra, you are from Spain? I don't know by heart right now how the national stage in Spain will go, but basically you have different ways of having the national jury in different countries. So in some countries they have a PowerPoint presentation, in others they don't have it. So the PowerPoint presentation, yes, you can change it because the PowerPoint presentation for the international stage, it is required at a specific date. So until that date, you can do whatever you want. Welcome. Okay, so going a little bit further with this, again, I'm going to go too much into details, but you can see here, I don't know, what is it? It's 77 pages, yeah? 77 pages of all kind of data information that it is good to take a look at it. I think this is okay. Definition. Then I'll try to go deeper within the presentation. This should be the part with the planning. So, for example, for the new buildings, a minimum of 25% of the total planned area of the building plot, including vegetal roof, must utilize plants and tree species indigenous or adapted to Dubai climate and region. This is actually a common sense rule. You're not going to take any species which are not adapted to Dubai. Take it from, I don't know, Europe, planted it in Dubai and say, okay, this plant needs constantly 24 hours per day, 7 days per week monitoring and supplying with water. It doesn't have to be even mentioned, but you can see still mentioned because you have to adapt to local local legislation. Okay, then you have all the sorry, try to make it smaller. You have a lot of things about light and colors and so on. Again, for example, this one here. For all new buildings, at least 75% of the area of the external painted walls must have a minimum light reflective value of 45%. Basically, it's saying that you need to have your building paint in light colors. If you come in Dubai with a building and you paint it in black, one of the first questions that the judges will ask you is, okay, how about the overheating effect due to color? So again, Teodor, o să-l găsești pe site foarte curând, o să-i faci, sorry, Teodor, you will find it on the website very soon. We will make an update to it, but again, this is nothing special. You don't need this document to design. These are, if you want, these are prerequisite for a multi-comfort approach. Even more, I would say that in a multi-comfort approach, you have to have 100% of the building with light colors. Furthermore, if you look at the glazed facade, yeah, well, if you have south-oriented glazing and you do not treat them, you do not take into account that you will have an overwhelming solar report through those windows, then what you will have in that room, as we did already discuss during the previous presentation, you will have temperature which will go easily beyond 30 degrees. So again, this is common sense things that we have discussed also or during the thermal acoustics daylighting, as you saw during the daylighting and so on. So nothing special. With pleasure, Theodor. Nothing special, but just maybe in a more, I would say, in a more point by point approach. This will be uploaded on the website. The training it's finished, and if you are going to respect the you are going to respect the multi-comfort criterias, then this criteria of green building, they will be also achieved. Another example, openable windows. Yeah, okay. Openable windows, it's in connection with the air quality. If you provide and you show that we are providing actively fresh air, then it's already okay. The fact that you provide openable windows, or let me put it differently, if you provide openable windows and you say that the ventilation is going to be done only through openable windows, yeah, then there is going to be a question from the judges that what you are going to do during the period when the heat, when the outside temperature is above 35. I have to select either I breathe, so I have to open the window, and if I open it, I get 35 degrees inside. Either I choose not to breathe, just to stay cool. So you need to think these two already and to take them into account. I think that would be more or less within the limit. I don't know what I could tell you more about this. Already we have a full presentation on acoustic that you have to fulfill with the multi-comfort criteria. You should feel that it's not going to be an issue to reach the levels that we are speaking about. So have a look at it, and you will understand it better. Even more, just to show you, because I was mentioning to you that if you are going to respect the multi-comfort principles and approach, you will be already better than what it is asked here. You can see here the roof is 0.3. Our recommendation is to go at 0.15, so better. The external walls, it's 0.6. We recommend you to be far below. So all of these things are going to be respected by you if you approach it within the multi-comfort view, and then of course taking a more global look at the sustainability when we speak about social environment building as an intrinsic part of the development. Any questions on this one? Can you hear me now? Yes. Okay. So, any questions on what we already discussed? No more questions on these issues. Everything is okay, clear. Good. Then I would like to to share with you also briefly on the calculation procedure, or let's say approach. So I'm pretty sure you must have seen by now that within the task of this year there are several ways in which you are allowed, or you can realize your, let's say, calculations. Any of you have already started doing some simulation, some calculation for your projects? Okay, so what have you used as a tool? Tino, what have you used for the simulations? Same. Okay, so it's not that you really need to use Designer. You can use other software, as it's already mentioned. You can use PHPP. You can use any other softwares that you feel like. And the software, the software that I'm going to speak briefly with you is the Designer. And to give you an idea about the objective of this software and how it works. Now, the objective of this software, it's not to be an academic one, yeah? Meaning that it will give you perfect results and everything else, for a very simple reason. You are not required to make engineering calculations, at least not at this stage. And our objective is that you understand a little bit how it's functioning, what is in the back, how changing the orientation can affect the building, or how the glazing can affect the consumption, and so on, rather than. Is it now? No sound? No, I say it's working. Yeah. So the objective of the Designer, first of all, is to give you some fast results so that it can point you in the right direction. Then a second objective is that you can play a little bit. You can play a little bit with the different tools, not tools, but rather influencers of the result. Bonnie, we'll take a 1 minute break, and let's see, not break, but stop, just to try to support Bonnie. So, we'll try to support Bonnie if it's possible. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, guys. So, coming back on the explanation on the Designer. In order to make it accessible and not too complicated and not too mathematical and so on, we also made some approximation in the back. So some of the results will not be as accurate as if you would do it with a more academic tool. That tool will require from you a lot of time investment in analyzing different things and so on. So just a short explanation on Designer. Basically, this is the starting segment, and if I look a little bit deeper on it, the quality is not that good. I don't know why the PDF. I think we will manage nevertheless. So the first thing that you need to do within the Designer is, first of all, let's make it red, is to name the object and to select the country. Let me check also if, by the way, do you see this? Can you read what is it in here, or you cannot? I think I am on lower parameters in case of in terms of transfer, so I don't. Okay, perfect. So first you need to put a name, and you need to select a country. That the selection of the country here will trigger here in the climate the selection that you are having. So in this case it is very simple. You are selecting United Arab Emirates. Of course you can select any of the other countries if you want to do a test by yourself. Then you select Dubai. And then you have here some very simple, straightforward things like, okay, new construction, residential, of course, for living. And then you have a design temperature, which is here. I have selected 24. Yeah. Once you have done this, you will see that there is here such a thing as the green button. All the others, this one, this one, this one, this one, they are all red. The moment that you did and you managed to put all the information which are required for that segment to work, this little button here will turn itself in green. Then that's how you know you have put all the requested information. Not saying all of them are correct, just saying that the information that the software requires to start programming, it is there. You do that, then it is very simple. You can go, you click on this arrow to the right, which means go forward. At any time of the project, you can go back and forward from this one. You can also do the same thing basically from here, because here you have all the functions that you are going with the support of the navigation. You have the area, you have the envelope, you have the quality, you have summer, you have HVAC, and so on. Okay, if you have any questions, please stop me or just write it to me and I'll try to answer to the best of my abilities. This part, I think it is clear, okay? Good. Then you have the area input. Now, depending on how deep you go on the area input, you can get better or more accurate or less accurate results. The first part, what you will come across, is to define the heated space area. Now, you can define it as a single entity, just one, and you say, okay, it's about 125 square meters. Or you can define it, if you have it in more complex, you can define it by form. Now you can make one heated area, two heated area, second heated area, third heated area, and they will be recognized as such in the software. Furthermore, for each of the heated area, you will define a heated space volume. And you will have as many heated area as you have here, that many heated volumes. And for each volume, you will be requested to put the height. You can take into account an average height, or you can even go further and define it. If you have 5 different heights or whatever, you can define each of the space. Now, the next is where you get to define your opaque elements. Your opaque elements are defined here by a set of 4 walls, a roof if you wish, and a floor. But you can add as many walls as you want. Or if you decide to have a octagon-like building, so or a section, if I look at the plan, or it's an octagon, then I can define 8 walls. If you make it around, then I can make it with 20, and I am as close as possible to a circle. Or I can go a little bit more approximated on it and say, okay, I know I'm going to have I don't know, let's play a little bit. Let's assume that if I'm having try to find a new site. So let's say that I'm going to have some kind of a building which looks slightly like this. This is the plan, yeah. Here is the north. Now I have few options. The options that I have are the following. Either I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 walls. Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's also saying to me. Either I'm saying, okay, I just define 4 walls, 1, 2, 3, and the 4th one is the yellow. But the yellow, it is equal to the sum of these 3. Is this clear what I'm saying now? Okay. Of course, I'm not going to have the same orientation, but if you want to get a fast result, this is also doable. Yeah? So you define your walls, then you put the surface of the walls, and then you need to give it an orientation. You can see here the orientation, so it can be 0 if it's towards north, it's 180 if it is towards south. Sorry, sorry for that. If the facade has an unregular shape or more organic shape, then you can approximate it. The way that you approximate it is up to you to decide. Meaning, either you approximate the surface, the total surface of it, through which the thermal transfer will take part, and you give it an direction, an orientation, and that's it. The same is for you, Tino. We didn't build in solutions for diagonal walls, because that would mean even more information to be fed into the software and so on. You can treat it as a perpendicular wall. It is true, it's not the same result. There is a certain amount of approximation that it is taken into account in the calculation, but you can treat it as a straight vertical wall with an equivalent total surface. Is this clear? If you want to go deeper, there are some softwares which are doing this. Yeah? If you really want to make the effort to go one step further, this is not a problem. You can select your own calculation software, and you can do it in that software, and that's also okay. So you have here the walls, then you have the roof. It can be a pitch roof, it can be a flat roof, and so on. And you have a certain selection of the slab. It can be slab towards an unheated space or slabs towards ground, and so on. Then you have, of course, the windows, and then last but not least, you have a door, just to define more or less the building elements of the system. What do you mean by an example of this kind of system, Sheban? They can do that. One, it is already mentioned in the contest task, so you can find it there. And for the others, you can have add-ons on a lot of CAD-assisted programs that you are using, depending on what kind of software you are using to design. Okay, I'll go one step further. So the moment that you are ready with the surfaces, when you click the next one, then you will have to choose a library. And when you do the selection of choosing library, you have two options. The first option is passive house certified details, which means that there are details already certified that they will fit and they will respond to the request of a multi-comfort house in continental Europe in terms of performance of the building, and you have independent details. The difference between the two is the fact that in the certified details you are not allowed to do any changes. Yeah? If you decide to go for that one, it's a good exercise. You need to use pre-existing details, and that's it. You cannot change them. If you go for the independent one, then you have a certain amount of flexibility. So I have selected for this explanation the independent one, just to give you some examples. So you have the moment that you have selected this independent details, then you have different options. First option is to select a certain typology of construction. It can be massive, it can be timber, and then you have here the various options linked to what you have defined in the envelope. Well, Vahim, this is up to you to find out. They were certified for continental Europe, and some of them will meet, some of them might be too much, and some of them might not be enough. So this is up to you to define and to analyze how to look at it. Welcome. So here the options will be linked to the options that you have pre-selected in your thermal envelope. Yeah, if you have wall against air here, then you select the wall against air, and if you click on it, you enter to the selection of the wall against air. If you have flat roof, you click on the flat roof, and in this case we are going to this page, which is the page for the flat roof. The page for the flat roof, it is consistent, or it consists of several information. First of all, you are having the section where the construction detail is explained. You can see the layers by section and so on. The second one, it's a library. So if you click on the next, you scroll. It's not a scroll, it's more clicking and going from left to right. You have several possibilities or several options of details that you can choose from. Here you have the U value, yeah, and here you have a section option which will give you the following information. First of all, it will tell you, do you want to select this construction for as a flat roof or only for a part? So going back to the way that you have developed you have mentioned your envelope, if within your envelope you said, okay, I want to be very precise, and I have, from my 200 square meters of flat roof, I have 100 square meters flat roof which are done with one detail, and the other 100 square meters with another detail, then you define two flat roofs. You just click on add a new construction and you define it as a flat roof, and you can say I have two sections of flat roof, one of 100 square meter and another one of 100 square meters. Then when you are going to reach the part where you select the detail, you can say no, I want to select it only for the flat roof section 1 or for flat roof section 2. If you didn't make any differentiation, or you want to select the same detail for all the flat roof independently where they are, then you just say okay for all of it, and then you just click select. The moment that you click select, then again you will see the U value appearing here in this status section, which will indicate what is the thermal performance of the construction that you have selected. Any questions? No questions. Okay. You can still hear me, yes? Okay, good. Now, in order to play a little bit and to give you a little bit of flexibility, and the detail section gives you two possibilities to define your own details. Now, you will see in each of the details that you have the option of changing the thickness of the insulation, the thickness of some layers. You want to put it higher or you want to put it lower. This will affect in a certain amount the U value, and then you can redo the calculation and see, okay, maybe I put enough, maybe I didn't put enough, and so on. This is one option. But some of you might say, oh no, we want to have our own detail. No problem. You have within the library, the last option, which is an empty picture, the possibility of defining your own construction detail. You just click on it and then you say, okay, what are my layers? Of course, again, it's an approximated function, so it will not take into account all the components. But even so, it allows you an extremely clear or a very precise analyze, because you can do, if you want, you can do the calculation of your U value of your wall by the dedicated U value calculation tools or whatever, or you take it from somewhere and you have it, and you have the option, for example, instead of saying, okay, it is layer 1 of thickness and lambda layer 2 of thickness and lambda layer 3 of thickness and lambda and the name of layer, you can put the total thickness of your detail, the average lambda of your detail, so that you will get the U value which is corresponding to your calculation. How do we get to new construction? Very simple. You see here it's a library. Yeah. If you click on this one until if you click on it to go through the different possibilities of construction topology, then the last one that you will encounter is this one. You can see here already the others. So when you reach this one, you click on it, you can define it if you want. Either you define it by layers, either you define it by one layer which is fully comprising of the elements, and you do not define them, you just put an average lambda conductivity of the wall so that you have the final U value. It is up to you. It gives you total freedom, and you can even select one picture of your detail. Then you save it and you will have this detail available for you. So if you really want to go into the designing of your details, you can do that also. Do you have any questions here? No. Okay, good. Let's go further. So you can see, for example, this is a detail that I just implemented for us to see. It's a very simple detail, which is saying, okay, this is a construction detail of a wall of 25 centimeter brick, which is giving me a new value accordingly. And okay, this is the picture that I have selected for it. So very simple. If you want to define it as such, it's straightforward, nothing special. And then when you click and you say, okay, this is the construction that I want, when you click on it, it will tell you that this construction has been selected. Okay. And the next thing that you will notice is the fact that here in the section which is corresponding for your construction, you have here you have the U value which has been attached to the flat roof section that we have identified or that we have worked on. And the last point that I wanted to show you, as I mentioned, you can see if you click on these arrows, you have certain possibilities of selecting different thicknesses of the insulation layer. Very straightforward, nothing extremely complicated, I would say. Do you have any questions? Okay, good. So I can go forward and we move to So now we have already selected the things all, or we have already selected all the construction details for the different typologies that we have, for flat roof, for slab against ground, for exterior walls. In this moment, this little button here will turn to green, and you can go further. So you go further by clicking the right arrow, and you enter into the section which is dedicated to the windows. And the same principles, they apply also for windows. You have a library, the active construction, it is explained here. You have all the specification of the construction of the specific typology, and you can click on it to see different type of triple, different U values, J values, double glazing, single glazing, and so on. You select the one that you want. It will show you the U value. It will show you also the G value. You need to think about the G value and to select the right one so that you don't get too much solar heat inside, solar radiation inside. And last but not least, select the construction. And then, of course, you have the same principle. You don't like these typologies of windows that we have proposed to you, which are more or less general, then you can define your own glazing. You put the glazing name, the structure, the light transmittance, the U value, the G value, and so on, and you get a new construction that then after that you can use in your, or a new glazing structure that you can use after that in your construction detail. And the last one is the part where you select a door, or several doors if you want. Basically, this is not what we are discussing here. It's analyzing the cooling or the heating, or in our case in Dubai, the cooling envelope, of the building. If you do not, I'm going to make a short comment here. I'll get here. I think it's more of an example. If let's assume that you have a building of this type and you decide that this area here, I do not care about it. I do not care about it in the sense that I'm neither going to cool it, neither going to heat it. In Dubai, it's not the case. Yeah, it's more about cooling. So if this is the case, then your heating, your envelope, the one that you treat, is basically this shape. Yeah. You do not care about these walls, this one and this one, or this wall and slab. This is your envelope, and this is what you have to define. So if you do not treat it, then you don't take it into account. Which means that if you have a space like this, you might have, if it is a house, maybe 2 doors. If it is I don't know, office building or whatever, can have 3, 4, 5 doors or whatever. But basically, we are speaking about the doors from the treated space, cooled envelope. So now I'm going back. You have selected a door, and then you have basically the D part of your overview palette, which is ready, which is also green. You can see it here, and you go back. You go forward. Going forward, you will find the part where you can see what you have selected, what are the different construction typologies, and where you can decide to remove some of them. For example, I have here the 4 typologies for the walls. I decide that this one, which is for the wall number 1, is not good. I click on delete, and then I go back and I select a new construction. I want to select to delete all of them. I just delete 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. I go back to the library and select a new construction. And with that, basically, you have already dimensioned your building, your construction, and you have already selected the different typologies of constructions, the different details that you have for the envelope of the surface that you take into account. Any questions to this side? Okay, good. The next options, they are slightly more easy in terms of selection. One of the next one is the air tightness. So this will ask you to think about how airtight your building will be. Air tightness has a great importance because basically if you build a construction which will have free flow, free exchanges between the cooled air inside and the heated air outside, then this will have an influence over the overall performance of the building. So you are asked to select one value. The higher the value it is, the less airtight is the building. The lower the value is, the more airtight the building is. You also have always a small question mark on each of these, where you can find some more information that can support you with what is that and what I should do there. So you can select, I don't know, a value 0.4, let's say. You have selected this 0.4. It will appear in the status bar, and then you are asked to say, okay, is it your building thermally free from thermal breach point of view? The reason for which we are doing this, and we are asking you to click that it is the fact that we do not calculate the thermal. It is virtually impossible to calculate it for that many countries, that many constructions, and so on. This calculation has different rule in different countries, so we decided not to calculate and to say, okay, when you do the analysis of the building, you already know that your building, it is a little bit over evaluated, in the sense that the consumption that you will get in reality will be higher, sometimes quite, or with some 20, maybe 25% higher, because of these thermal bridges. So the thermal bridges, they are not calculated, and this is for you to know, that to keep in mind that, okay, within a real project there are local specifications how to calculate, and this specification you or somebody who is dealing with this has to analyze them, because in some cases can be to have a very high percentage in the total result of the building. So the moment that you are also clicking on yes, then sorry for that, then this part will be ready, and we are going to the next section, which is the shading section. Sorry, the shading section. The shading section, it is the first option, or the first part. It is more dealing with so-called shading generated by the space or by the building itself. Shading from the design, if you wish. There is one option which will put an average shading, and that's it. All the surfaces will be shaded with this average shading. But if you feel that this is not respecting your design, then you can select and design shading specifically, different typologies of shading specifically for each of the envelope elements that you have defined. For example, if I select the walls which are oriented towards south, I can say, okay, I have a shading coming from a neighboring building, which is tall of this, the distance between the middle of the building, which is in front, and my windows is this. And then, of course, you can do this, or we could ask you to do this for each window, but this is no longer the case. And it would be far too complicated. So to go faster on this, you can define it for each facade for a window, and then you say, okay, the thing which is in front of me will affect only 50% or 20% of the windows on this part of the envelope. So you correct it here in the correction factors. Also, there is an explanation on how to do this here. Furthermore, you also have window shading from trees and so on. So if you want to go deep, you can go far deeper than it is in the beginning. The next option is summer shading. In the summer shading, we treat shadings which are not necessarily from the design, in the sense that they can also be added afterwards, which can be, for example, status like sunshades, or they are not coming from the geometry of the building or the emplacement or the where the building it is set. So you can have different types of sunshades fixed outside, inside, sun louvers, and so on. And you can also define this and add it to the shading. With this, you are ready to move to the next section, which is HVAC. You have also here more or less the same principle, different typology, so you don't want the HVAC system. You just want to, in this case, you just select no, and that's it. You go further. If not, you can select an HVAC system with heat recuperation of a different value, and subsoil heat exchanger if you want, and then, well, then you just click on calculate and you get your results. That's it. And the result that you can get, you can see it here: the space heating demand, the cooling demand, and the overall results. For example, you have the overheating calculation, and you can find something like that, saying, okay, my the temperature that I would like to have in my construction is 26 degrees. Well, you, in the case of this simulation that I did, you have this amount of time temperature above 26. You have this amount of time temperature above 27, and so on and so on. So if I would say, okay, I accept temperature of 27, this line here will be here. So I'll see only this part. And then, last but not least, you have the possibility of exporting a PDF report, which will basically allow you to have on one document all this information that we have been discussing up to now. Do you have any questions? No questions? You can still hear me, guys, yes? Thank you, Maria. Okay, for the last 10 minutes, I would like to share with you another information. So this is about the Dubai and some considerations about Dubai climate. Yeah. So if you look at the situation in Dubai, we know that the temperature are or opposite to what we can experience sometimes in Europe. So we'll also upload this document. There are some good practice ideas that work. So, for example, cheaper grays sun protective glasses with a G value of 25%. Huh? It's a good idea. Then, if you look, for example, in terms of what it could be recommended in terms of different characteristics. So, you remember that in the requirements from the Green Council, here the value was around 0.3. We recommend to go for a U value which is more towards 0.12, so almost 3 times better. So as I was mentioning, then if you are going to fulfill this criteria, then it's not a problem. Then for the roof, go for 0.15. For basement, 0.2. Do you remember the absorption coefficient of the external world? It was about 0.35, if I remember correctly. We recommend a 0.15. So we are far below. If you, as I already mentioned, if you are going to respect the recommendation that we have been discussing some month now, you will be far on the safe side. Then you have a U value for the glazing of about 0.7 with a G value recommended G value of 0.25. You can have immovable shading. If you are asking yourself what could be a good air exchange or a threshold, then you should be around 0.5. Is there a sense for the heating efficiency? Well, about 0.85 as well. Do I think about overnight ventilation? Yes. Now, question. Any of you have been looking at the acoustic training? Nobody? Hello? Okay, so if you look from, not yet, no problem. If you look at it from thermal point of view, it makes sense to have overnight ventilation via windows, so to get some fresh air, some cold air during those period of time when the temperature outside is cool. But on the other hand, if you will place your buildings close by the road, and you expect that the people will open the window and let it open during the night with a lot of traffic going on, you have to think about, again, because it might be that they will not be able to sleep. So although you have provided this and you said, okay, they will open the window to ventilate, they cannot do it because you put the building too close to road. And noise, it's far bigger problem than overheating. Then you need to think about climatization. Of course, this is a must. So these are some very short properties that you will find uploaded, and then I'm going to see. So if I look at it a little bit from point of view of what could be the result, then well, you can see here what happens if you have a ideally heated and cooling system building and a building which is uninsulated. Yeah, so this one is insulated, this one is uninsulated, but with the ideal heating and cooling system. The difference is 5 times bigger. This one it's insulated, this one it's not insulated. Now you can see the difference. Then I will like to show you some more information about. Oops. Just give me 1 second. So it is, for example, the roof insulation can be lower compared to walls, but already we have seen that we have seen in the criteria in the beginning that we were discussing, where we said, okay, the U value of the wall is lower than the U value of the roof. So as a conclusion, of course, they can be slightly lower. Then an airtight envelope and a mechanical ventilation will help minimize the energy consumption. Triple glazed sun protecting glass with long eaves and windows facing only the south and north minimize transmission. In some cases, you will be forced to have some windows towards east or towards west. You need to take that into account because your design requires this. But from thermal point of view, they are less effective as those oriented north-south. There is a big influence of the user behavior that you have to be aware of it. If the people that are living there will leave the windows open or they forget, then it will be terribly warm inside. And there is such a thing as the internal heat sources that you also need to think about. And the most important points, I think these are the most important points that you have to take into account, and that can give you some basic directions and ideas on how to approach this and from which point of view. That would be from my side. If you have any questions, please let me know. Any questions? Okay, good. I think that would conclude our last online session. We will upload this session on the website tomorrow, and I wish to all of you best of luck, and hopefully see you all in Dubai. Take care, guys. Bonnie, wait. Okay, Bonnie has a question. Go ahead. Let me know. Wait, Bonnie. Bonnie, can you hear me? If you have a question, let me know. If not, you can also write it to me by email. So that's also okay. Okay, good. So if you have any questions, yes, perfect, Bonnie. Send me an email and I'll do my best to answer to you. Thank you again to all of you guys, and best of luck. Bye bye. Ilian, you can shut down this training.